So I'm just going to show you how I dry my tobacco leaf. I have to spray it with water about twice a day since I don't live in an area where it's very humid. You don't want it to dry out completely and dry out turning green like the top of the stem there because there's more moisture in the stem. But it's okay to spray it to get it wet because you don't want it drying out very fast. You want it to dry as slow as you can because you don't want it to dry green. Again, you want it to dry to a yellow color and then slowly to a brown color like this. You want to be able to crumple it up like that and then, fold it back out without having it break. If you try to crumple it and it breaks, then you did it wrong and you need to start over. So I'm kind of jumping through processes in this video here, but I'm just giving you a walkthrough of what I'm doing right now. So what I'm showing you right now. These are the ones that I started. They're all from seed, and I'm just letting them thin out a little bit, kind of grow, and then I'm going to transplant them. And this bucket here are all the ones that I didn't have time to transplant. You can see that the bottom leaves are already starting to turn yellow, which means that I got to start picking them. And you don't want to let it flower because when it flowers, a lot of the nicotine gets concentrated into the leaves and the energy, into the flower, and the energy goes into making the flower and producing the seeds rather than the leaves. And in general, the leaves have more nicotine than the rest of the plant, than the roots or the stalk or the flowers or the buds or whatever. So you generally want to pick off the flowers before it flowers and starts to pollen. You want to cut it all off because that will concentrate the good stuff into the leaves and make the leaves bigger. And these ones, they're kind of hard to transplant once they start developing a root system. So these ones I'm just letting go, and it's kind of an accident because they got too crowded and I couldn't transplant them because they got too big for me too fast. They grow really great here in Northern California. The only downside is it's not very humid, it's just really dry, but it seems to be growing great. And this is the only one I'm actually letting flower. They make some really nice, beautiful pink flowers, and this is probably the original reason why people started growing them in their garden, was for the flower, rather than smoking it. And the reason I'm letting this biggest one that I have flower, or it was the biggest, now that one's the biggest, and some other ones, but this was the biggest one and the nicest looking one, so I'm letting it flower to collect the seeds, and those seeds I'm going to reuse for next year. I'm still going to harvest the leaves from this one, but allowing the biggest and healthiest one to seed and me gaining the seeds will let me next year to grow them again in case I don't have seeds any other way. And it's 100% legal to grow in California for your own personal use. And when you harvest it, you're not actually going to cut the whole plant down or pull it all out at once. You're going to harvest the leaves gradually, one or two at a time from each plant over several weeks period, because you wait till the leaves get slightly yellow, kind of like that, and then you pick them, and that's when they start to dry out. And the bottom leaves are usually just discarded because they'll have dirt, and from watering it they get kind of crappy like this. So those leaves are usually discarded. But every leaf has a purpose. The upper leaves are used for the cigar wraps. The inner leaves are shredded down and used for the filling. And although it's mostly known for being smoked and causing cancer, it actually is one of the most medicinal plants that I've ever heard about, or ever grown, ever seen, ever known about. Just look up the medicinal benefits of tobacco and you'll be amazed. This specific strain is Tobacina nicotium, I believe it's called, and it's Nicotiana tabacum. I said it backwards. And it's a Virginia strain. And this is the same kind as commercial tobacco, which you'd find in your cigarettes. The only difference is it doesn't have ammonia or pesticides, and it's not, cured using unnatural ways. No additives. There's over 4,000 additives in modern tobacco, so it's not the plant tobacco that causes cancer. It's actually the products created by the tobacco company is what causes cancer. And all those studies done on tobacco are actually done on tobacco that was produced by the tobacco company with their pesticides and with their additives and all that. No study has ever been done that causes any cancer on homegrown, organic, natural tobacco. Because you won't find it. Because it's a healing plant. Very, very medicinal. Thank you.